Well, hello to everybody out there in YouTube land. This is parentheses, Muni Math by, close parentheses, Peter Felton. It's been a while since I last made a YouTube video featuring yours truly, and a lot has happened in that time. The last video I made featuring myself was 2 years ago in 2023, and some significant life events have occurred that have at the same time both been good and bad and profound and meaningful and the like. So in 2023, for the first half of the year, from January to June, I was living independently in San Francisco in the same home I lived in for almost a decade, 9.5 months to be exact. Excuse me, I was tutoring online and in person for the first time since before the pandemic. I was also substitute teaching for what would become my final year of teaching in the classroom. More on that to follow. But in July of 2023, my lovely girlfriend Liz and I moved in together, and we relocated to a different city from where we were each living, respectively. In 2023, we celebrated our second anniversary as a couple, and this year we're going to celebrate our fourth anniversary as a couple. In 2023, I was still in my 30s, and, boy, excuse me, must be these late night dinners. And since then, I have turned 41 this year, this past January 4th. So therefore, I am now in a different decade than I was when you last saw me online here at YouTube. But things are moving forward in different ways, and I hope they continue in that light. Obviously, there are some other new things in the world. We have an old new president who needs no introduction. But in terms of what's going on in my life, well, when my girlfriend Liz and I moved in together, we had a new addition to the family in the form of our darling cat, Desmond. He is now just over 2 years old. When we adopted him, he was almost 1 year old, and we've had him now for almost a year and a half. He's a lovely orange tabby. You may have seen him in some of my more recent YouTube videos that I made, some featuring him and some featuring Petco products. Now, you may be thinking, how do Petco products come into play? Well, obviously, when you have a pet, you need to provide them with adequate food, shelter, and entertainment. Petco can be the place to do that. So when Liz and I moved in together, but even before then, I made the very difficult decision to ultimately temporarily step away from the world of teaching. I'd been a teacher in different capacities for 22 years up to that point. My first teaching type job was that of a summer school and teacher and camp counselor in 2001 when I was only 17 years old. Wasn't even a legal adult. I was en route to rounding out my high school career as a fourth, then upcoming, or rising as they call it, high school senior 12th grader. So, to go from having a career that lasted just over 2 decades was a bit of a step. But the unfortunate reality is that at the time, I could no longer sustain my career as a tutor and my income. I'd had some dry spells earlier in my tutoring career, but none really hit me like the 2022-23 school year. And that was not only unexpected, but also very heartbreaking. And obviously, when you're self-employed, you have to constantly market yourself and spread the good word and get other people to spread the good word on your behalf. So that was nothing new because I'd been a tutor for 11 years straight up to that point. And minus a few tiny spots of dry economic activity, I was pretty much just shooting straight the whole way. But that came to a major slowdown and ultimately grinding halt that year when, this was the second year back from school following the year of distance learning in 2020, 2021, during the year of the shutdown and school closures for the COVID-19 pandemic. And that school year was actually a very good one for me professionally because it was the first year I'd ever tutored online. Up to that point, I was a little skeptical about online tutoring. I was thinking, Why do I want to be talking to a computer screen? The point is to work with other people face to face. And I'd also never really had a Zoom session before, as, had a lot of people in the United States of America and worldwide. Zoom itself was invented in 2018, and I think that's around the time FaceTime was invented too. So we all obviously had to get used to a new lifestyle and means of communication. But I transitioned pretty smoothly. I was still tutoring in person and working as a substitute teacher regularly up until mid to late March of 2020, when all of the schools across the country shut down. But thankfully, due to modern technology and an increasing demand for tutoring, I was able to transfer my skills and my business from in person to online. So that year of distance learning was fantastic for me professionally. And even the next year was still pretty good too. But the year after that, 2022-23, which is 2 school years ago at this point, was not so great. I did have students, and some of them were good. But unfortunately, there was a lot of inconsistency. There was a lot of discrepancy in, students or their parents paying me in full and on time by choice on their end. And that was very aggravating for me. And it was a very real lack of professionalism on their parts. So again, this goes for everyone out there. When a career that you've had for a long time and that you know how to do and you love and hold true and dear to your heart starts to fade, if not fizzle completely, well, you have to make a move. Because if you don't make a paycheck, you have to find something else or become homeless. So I decided in summer of 2023 that I was going to ultimately temporarily hang up my teaching wand, if you will, and move on to something else. So what I ended up doing was actually working retail as a cashier and stock person at my local branch of Petco. Now, the timing was neat because Liz and I had just gotten our beloved orange tabby cat Desmond. So working at Petco allowed me to get a lot of nice staff discounts on pet-related products, particularly cat stuff for Desmond. So that was a perk. Also, it was my first time working in person regularly in about 3 years, even though I'd done some substitute teaching in my penultimate year of tutoring. But I used to work retail my last 2 years of college, from 2006 through 2008. I was a cashier, sales clerk at a local San Francisco public transit museum called the San Francisco Railway Museum in, ironically, San Francisco, California. And of course, that was a different time, and I was a different person. I was still a part-time college student, hadn't yet finished my teaching degree. I was quite young, very inexperienced, so that period of my life was very difficult. But I knew that I could do retail again because it wasn't the first job I applied for in 2023, but I knew it was a surefire hit, and I'd done retail before, and I'd grown up a lot, obviously, in the intervening decade and a half. So I opted for it and got the job pretty quickly, beginning in August of 2023, just 1 month after Liz and I moved into our current apartment in Redwood City, and I am filming from my bedroom, incidentally. So during my ultimately 10 months working retail, my lifestyle changed a little bit. This was my first time, again, working for somebody else for over a decade, pretty much, and also my first time in a decade and a half working retail. As expected, I was a little bit older than many of my coworkers who were mostly in their 20s, maybe some in their 30s. My boss was a bit older than me, so I wasn't the oldest person there, but I was definitely on the slightly older end because during my time working at Petco, I turned the big 40 and became a 40-year-old. And I started to feel the physical effects of turning 40 throughout the process because working retail, especially when you're handling big bags of dog food, is very physically taxing. But nevertheless, it did allowed me the opportunity to get to know the community a little bit. So that was a bit of a perk, even though not every customer was exactly grateful. But the highlight of my time working at Petco, besides getting the regular staff discounts on cat products, was that I got to meet the one and only Wardell Stephen Curry, better known as Steph Curry, number 30 on the Golden State Warriors. He and his wife Aisha, as well as their kids, their oldest daughter is named Riley, and I got to meet her occasionally. They would come into Petco a few times, separately or together, because they had pets, and I even helped Aisha and sometimes her husband with a new pet they got in the form of a bearded dragon. I was actually the clerk who had the honor of selling them that bearded dragon. And in the instances following that, the first time I saw Aisha was in January of 2024. And then 2 months later, I got to meet her husband and take a selfie with him, talk to him, and serve him and help him. And it was not only a walking on air experience that I still feel a little spring in my step over to this day, that I got to meet them and take a photo with Steph Curry. And, he works essentially in San Francisco. So that was pretty cool. But, just the fact that they got to be normal people, they obviously know of their celebrity status, even in I should say, especially in the Bay Area, no matter what exact city they're in. But, they got to come in dressed in street clothes, without Secret Service, without having to hide or disguise themselves. And it was just really great to talk to them as people. And I got to do it again several times between January and when I ultimately left Petco in June of 2024. So those were some wonderful memories. And it was great that they kept coming back and that I got to help them every single time. That was really awesome. So as time moved forward, so too did my desire to move on from working retail. What was interesting is how, even though by the end of my initial teaching career, I was not making very much money, it was relatively equal to the money I was making working regular part-time at Petco. Because just like being a regular part-timer or even an on-call part-timer, you don't get benefits when you're self-employed. So I didn't get benefits by working at Petco in terms of health insurance and all that. I did get PTO and sick hours that I earned and ultimately cashed in when I resigned. But by the end of it, I wasn't really better off financially. But of course, the ultimate reason I left was due to reasons other people leave jobs. It's like you're dealing with corrupt management, you have lazy coworkers, you have rude customers, you're in physically hazardous conditions that violate a lot of labor laws. I was standing up all day, on my feet as a cashier and helping other people. Never got to sit down except during my 10-minute breaks and lunch period. So it really took a toll. And, again, when everyone's looking at you to be the only worker in the bunch who's going to bring everyone to the promised land, it's time to leave. And when management doesn't listen to you, it's time to leave. So that's the long and short of it. After an extensive, exhausting, and very stressful job hunt over the summer, I ended up being offered a regular part-time gig with a nationwide tutoring company that teaches elementary and middle school students in 3rd through 8th grade in English language arts. And this company is affiliated with public school districts from all around the country. So I've gotten to tutor as many students online from as many different U.S. states with this company as I have as an independent, self-employed tutor. And I am still, to this day, an independent, self-employed tutor. The 2023-24 school year, to date, ever since my first year of preschool, was the only school year in which I had nothing to do with school. As a student, as a teacher, I'm not a parent and won't be because Liz and I do not want to have kids. End of discussion. And that was really, intriguing to me. I was like, wow, maybe I really have officially moved on from school and education fully. And, when that's the direction your mind is headed in, you think, okay, this is permanent. Well, things have a way of coming full circle. So since this company was the first company to offer me a job after, again, an extensive, painful 3-month job hunt, and job searching of today is not like it used to be. There are a lot of politics. There's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of misinformation. AI has a lot to do with it. So my heart still goes out to everyone out there looking for work. And, it's not fair to hardworking people who just want to make a living and who just want to give back to their community and who rightfully deserve to strut their stuff on the talent front. So, I would again like to publicly thank this company for hiring me. For privacy's sake, they shall remain nameless. But this is my first time working as an online tutor for a tutoring company. I'd never worked for a tutoring company up till this past October of 2024 when they spotted me on Indeed, reached out to me, asked me if I was interested. I said yes. We had some initial online training sessions, and I did a lot of online training on my own via this extensive package that they gave me that I whipped up in about 2 weeks per their requirement. So since then, I've returned to the world of full-time, online, at-home work. And it works out well because I get to be home with Liz's and my cat Desmond, and I get to welcome her home every day from work since I'm already at home. So it's an old new lifestyle, and Redwood City marks the second city, and subsequently this home marks the second home, and subsequently my domestic arrangement marks the second domestic arrangement in which I've worked online. So yeah, it's life has an interesting way of coming full circle at times, but it's gotten off to a pretty good beginning. I've worked there for the past 4 months. I hope to continue working there, so may that continue. And yeah, my clientele has expanded both on this company and as an independent tutor, so win-win. That's the way I see it, and again, I hope it continues. Nothing is guaranteed anymore in the job world, so you really have to count your blessings and not put all your eggs in one basket. That's the name of the game, and that's reality today. So now that you know all of those updates, I would like to say on behalf of myself and in reflection of the title of this video, thank you to the now 200 subscribers I have gained on my YouTube channel. I gained my 200th subscriber just 24 hours ago on Thursday, February 6th, 2025, just before midnight. So that was a very welcome sight. I'd finally hit the big 200 or 200 or 200 or 200, if you will. And yeah, every now and then I check my YouTube channel to see if I get any new subscribers every now and then. And of course, you do receive email notifications about it, which is very helpful. So I had made a few videos since the last video of this type. They mainly included one final Muni Math video, which I should let you know, despite the title of this channel being Muni Math by Peter Felton, because I no longer live in San Francisco, and I haven't lived there in over a year and a half, Muni Math videos are going to be very slim to null going forward. I still visit San Francisco occasionally because I do have a few friends and family members there. But when I'm there, it's typically just a day trip, whether for family business or friendship hangouts. So, it's really kind of a luck of the draw. If I see a Muni vehicle or some other aspect of Muni that I haven't filmed before and that may be brand new, well, I might just whip out my phone and film it and upload it to YouTube. But other than that, what you see here at Muni Math by Peter Felton is what you're going to get from here on out. Redwood City and other cities in the Bay Area do have public transportation, but they are not as mathematically inclined as Muni is, and they're not as extensive as Muni is because a lot of these cities aren't as big as San Francisco. but it's quite all right. You know, you see all the different playlists, you see all the different types of videos, and they're very detailed written descriptions and mathematical breakdowns. So enjoy, because what you have here is what you're going to have forever. But there have been other types of videos as well. You may have noticed that some of my videos that are music videos, that like the slideshows that I made for Muni Math, feature some Petco products. I made those videos, I took the photos for them while I was working at Petco during my breaks and stuff. So that was pretty cool and fun, and ultimately brief, because I only worked at Petco for 10 months before I resigned, but it was worth it. Also, I am in the process of writing my 4th book. It's going to be about U.S. presidents, looking at them from different angles, but also in a very futuristic angle about the notion of there being no more political parties in America, and what would that do for the government, for the people, for the economy, for the world perception of America. So keep your eyes open, because I will be providing updates here on Muni Math by Peter Felton when the book gets published. I have written a few chapters. Obviously, I have a very busy life with my job and with my girlfriend and with our cat Desmond, and even with my family as well. So the book writing happens when it happens, and I do aim to get it published this calendar year. I also had to wait, as did the rest of us, to see what the outcome of the 2024 election was going to be, because had it had a different outcome, the book may have taken a different tone. So there you go. And speaking of the presidency, obviously, per the United States Constitution, no U.S. president can serve more than 8 years or 2 terms in the White House, whether they are, typically, consecutive terms in 8 years, or, as Donald John Trump himself has proven, as did Grover Cleveland over a century before him, whether those 2 terms are non-consecutive, when you have one president in between and then you regain the throne, as it were. So I am hereby declaring my bid for the White House as the 48th President of the United States, effective January 20th, 2029, after claiming victory the previous November in 2028, when Donald Trump's 2nd term will be over. In the event, given his age and physical health, that Donald Trump does not live to see the end of his 2nd term, then I will be dethroning Vice President J.D. Vance, who is the first millennial vice president we've ever had, also the first millennial vice presidential candidate we've ever had, and also I am 7 months older than him, so he is technically also the first vice president younger than me. But we are very different in many different ways. So I will be making a series of YouTube videos declaring my candidacy for the presidency in further detail, touching on different topics. But keep your eyes open, not only online and on social media, but also maybe I'll be on a debate stage just under 4 years from now in 2028. We'll see. So again, I would like to dedicate this video to my 200 YouTube channel subscribers. I am very grateful for your following, your subscribing, your spreading the good word to other people, comments, likes, and the like on each of my YouTube videos. And my cat Desmond, by the way, is featured in a few of the Petco videos, as well as one video that I made of him purring when he and I were nuzzling on my bed. So he's gotten some airtime as well. All right. Well, it's wonderful to see you all again. Yes, there have been a lot of changes in my life. On a sad note, this past January, on my 41st birthday, January 4th, I and my family sadly lost my father. He passed away at the age of 82 after a 5-year battle with Lewy body dementia. He spent the last 2.5 years living in a nursing facility in the town in which he lived for the final 18 years of his life. It was very sad, but it was also expected. I think of him dearly. I will always miss him. And he was a big part of my life up until the age of 41. And given that he passed away at the age of 82, he and I knew each other for exactly half his life. That says something. And the fact that he died on my birthday also is, kind of coming full circle in different ways. But may he rest in peace. Keith Spencer Felton, 1942 to 2025. I love you very much, Dad. All right, well, that'll do it for this video. But please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And spread the good word about the prospective 48th President of the United States, aka this guy talking to you right here. All right, take good care. I look forward to seeing you online. Keep your eyes open. I'll have more videos in the future related to my upcoming book, related to my upcoming U.S. presidential candidacy, and maybe other things too. You never know. All right, take good care. Have a good weekend, as tonight is Friday night. Enjoy the February winter weather, and we'll be in touch. Peace. I love you all.